we are. Magic Emily Middleton. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kurt Von Onen. Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween. I don't even know what to expect in this episode, Emily, as Halloween is upon us. People might be too busy, putting on capes and masks and stuff to come and talk about WordPress today.
Yeah. I feel that. I'm a bit ready for the end of the month. Ready for celebration. I don't know.
I have so many stinking, like little dotted I's and crossed T's and just stuff to finish out the week. Like, I'm not going to say end of the month because tomorrow's the 1st and I have meetings tomorrow where I'm going to be like, here, this 200-hour project is now yours. Here's the handoff, like it's and I give it to them with tutorials and I make videos for the clients and all that stuff. So it's like, oh my goodness, it's like really when you say finish a month strong, like this is a month to be finished with. Finishing so strong, in fact, that I literally was like talking to a potential client at the beginning of the week, and as they were talking, in the back of my mind, I was like, do I even want this gig? do I need this gig? Let's look at the calendar. How much do I need to say yes to this right now? Just because it's been such a busy month, but I know that anything could happen, right? November and December could totally flip flop, and then you find yourself in January going, man, where's the work? The pipeline's empty. So got to keep pushing the push for people that are in the space. I always try to encourage people, you gotta keep pushing and keep the pipeline filled and keep talking to people and, get to the Chamber of Commerce meeting and be networked in your community and online and people might think I'm crazy the way I talk about some of this stuff, because to some people WordPress is a hobby, but man, if you want to have a home office and pay your bills, it's completely doable.
Yeah.
I'm already preaching to the choir today, dude. Talk to me. Like, how was your week? I missed you this week. I almost texted you like Monday or Tuesday just to say hello.
Yeah. I mean, you can hit me anytime. I was assisting my partner with surgery. She went in and had surgery done this week, so I've flown down to LA with her to do that, and that's mostly been my week. But I'm also doing some videos with WP Fusion. I have like 6 of them done, and they're going to publish those slowly. So like I do tutorials for Lifter, I'm also going to start doing that for WP Fusion, and so that's what my week's been.
Yeah, and WP Fusion made it into the big boy news this week with having their product removed from WordPress.com.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's a lot of drama going on in this space.
Yeah, lots of drama. Before we get too far down the path, I wanted to make sure we had some people signed in before I started putting discounts on the screen. But shout out to Gary Alderson. He is with us again this week. Gary, welcome to the call. And if we take a look at your gift for coming to the call today, you can get a 55% off coupon to LifterLMS by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. Again, that's lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. Now, one of the things that we like to do if you're new to these calls is we take questions and we can do screen shares and guide you along the way. But in order to take those questions, you're going to want to put those questions into the chat. Whatever channel you're watching on, they should be connected to this platform. So if you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, all of those things should be getting a feed on this, and you should be able to put in a comment. And then we'll use that comment to launch into a quick talk, explanation, or possibly a screen share if necessary to demonstrate what it is we believe you are asking us about. And so with that in mind, feel free to go ahead and put those comments in, just like Gary did. Gary apparently is watching directly on StreamYard.
Nice.
All right.
Welcome, Gary.
You ready? You ready for a pre-asked question from Miss Linda?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Well, let's do this. Linda's got a good question, and this comes up frequently because, and I'm going to say here from Linda in the comment, and I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm gonna do the whole job here. Here we go. Linda's asking a question that if you've been in the Lifter LMS space for a while, you think to yourself, well, duh, of course. But this is a very reasonable question, and we hear this often. It says, I want to use Lifter LMS for online courses, right? Smack, dab, done, right? Boom, you got it. But then it says, is there a way to also use it for coaching services? You see, coaching is it's almost like a different niche or a niche, right? So coaching is the idea of conversation with a client or a student, and coaching done well isn't really you teaching. It's more like asking the right questions so the subject can teach themselves. So really well-crafted coaches will ask a series of questions and allow that person to explore their own answers and come to a conclusion that is self-actualized. And so that, in its definition, that is really dang near impossible to do with static course material. So that's one of the challenges. Like, a real coach has an issue with online courses because in their minds, each thing's unique. Each thing is a separate use case. Each thing is not an evergreen product. It is a very live, interactive product. And so they want to do that live. And so so to Linda's question here, the first thing I want to do is put you at ease and say, absolutely. Is there a way to use it for coaching services? Absolutely. I actually prefer kind of a hybrid use case here. What I like is take your consistent themes, your consistent ideologies, and make that evergreen course material, right? So maybe you have, if you were going to do like coaching on personality styles or coaching on communication, then you might have some evergreen material that's on the 4 personality types, right? What's a phlegmatic? What's a choleric? What's a melancholic person? And that is consistent material, right? Anything that's consistent and fact-based, you could add as evergreen material. So now you've got content that educates and guides your student, your client, however you want to think of that. But you can also, through a add-on available through Lifter LMS, you can activate a thing called private areas. Private areas isn't something we discuss a lot. I think we've mentioned it, many times, but when I think about it in terms of like how often we mention groups or how often we mention even advanced coupons, private areas is one of the ones we don't talk about as much. Private areas is a literal private post in the website that goes back and forth between 2 individuals. So the instructor, administrator invites the student to the conversation, and then they can message each other back and forth through the platform, but it's like a post. And the reason I say like a post is because you can add any content to that post. You can embed a video, you can put in an audio message, you can type something out, you can do that. And then they get a thing that says, private areas message received, and then they can respond. So they can go back and forth. Private areas is a really fun way to go. The other side of coaching is when you start having the conversation about individual coaching versus peer-to-peer coaching versus group coaching. And that's where we start talking about things like, well, is this going to be video based? Because now we're in a different ball field. Now we're playing a completely different game. And if you wanted to put like Zoom into your website, there's a Zoom integration in the WordPress repository. You could add that. Adil made this plugin. It works phenomenally. Puts Zoom right in your website. Your website, once you use that plugin, actually adopts the icons and the marketing from your site rather than the Zoom stuff. So if you share links with people, they see your logo instead of Zoom's logo. So that's one of the big perks to that particular product. The setup is immense. I've done it multiple times. It used to take me hours. Now I can do it in like 90 minutes. So I'm just prepping you, right? But if you want to put Zoom in your website, it's completely doable. You can set up the meetings, manage the meetings, do everything directly through your website, which is super, super cool. And to me, it lends more credibility to the site. Like for a user, instead of having to go off-site to some link, to some application, to whatever, you're going to say, hey, meet me at my website, abc.com/live meeting, right? Or whatever you call it, and it's in there. And you can embed that meeting anywhere in the website. So you can embed it in a lesson. People would say, why would I put a live meeting in my lesson? If you put the live meeting in your lesson, then you're using the membership tools to filter people out. So only people that have access to the course and that lesson have access to that meeting invite, right? To be able to get in and access that meeting. So if you use Zoom and then you kind of restrict its access through your membership tools into your course and lesson structure, you end up with a really powerful tool. So two different ways to really think about coaching. Coaching can be group, can be live video, or can be content based through the site. And now the obvious questions are going to come up. Well, Kurt, why would I use private areas? I could text them, I could email them, I could, there's all these different ways that you can do things. The reason that I like doing it in the website is, although we call it private areas, and although it's a conversation between two individuals, it is also stored on the platform. So I think about this when you come up with like working with young people or male and female or whatever. There may be cause down the road where you would have to demonstrate, no, I never said that. Yes, I did say that. This is what I coached. This is, you might need to refer back to something for any myriad of reasons. And it's nice that that stuff is stored on the platform in the database and you can retrieve it if you need it. That was a long answer, Emily. Do you have any input on these subjects?
I think you covered all of it. I mostly see private areas alongside like email being used for coaching. Like I have a coach who uses LifterLMS, and after we get off our calls, a private areas message with like a recap of the call, and then that's a really useful resource to have.
Yeah, the private areas to me is it's a really powerful tool. It's not for every project, right? So I want to be like super, like to me, I go back to use case. I always say use case, and I'm sure I drive half the audience crazy if they listen more than 2 or 3 times because I bring it up all the time. But use case to me is super, super important. If it makes sense for your application, if it adds value to what you're offering your students or your community, then by all means, employ it. But one of the worst mistakes you can make in LifterLMS, because there are so many add-ons and so many tools that you can use, the worst thing you can do is install LifterLMS on a new project and activate every add-on. Like that's the worst thing you can do. Yeah, I see you smiling. Because we know people that do it.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is launch a minimal viable product, get a small community interested in your core course, and then add features along the way as your community sees the need or makes inquiry for improvement. And then that way you kind of get their vested interest in, working with the program as it expands too. You'll see this with a lot of SaaS platforms. SaaS platforms will offer the moon and the stars, but the reality is those moon and stars are wasted if you don't have a community taking advantage of the tools. So friend of the show, Adam Silver says, yep, coaching can be done. He says, matter of fact, creating a single course for Run Adam Run and then offer an upsell to private coaching and accountability. So Run Adam Run is an initiative for those that haven't seen from Adam before. Adam is one of those crazy people that runs 40 or 50 miles at a time. He does those ultra marathons, which I certainly cannot wrap my head around. I would do that on a bicycle, but I need the advantage of gears and wheels. But he runs, foot to pavement, right? Super tactile experience. And he teaches other people how to do that, coaches other people. And so as he's saying, create the single course and then offer the coaching on top of that. And I think the accountability is a good thing to bring out there, Adam, because, I was talking about coaching and asking questions and guiding people with their inner thoughts. But the other side of that really is accountability. I think about that like from an agency perspective, right? Like maybe I'm falling behind on a couple of tasks here and there, but I know I got a meeting coming up, next Wednesday at 3. So I better get it done by next Wednesday at 3, right? If you didn't have that meeting scheduled, if you didn't have that accountability, would you still be as productive? And so I think that's a really awesome way to frame that as well. Now, Linda had a follow-up question. And from Linda says, we're a small organization right now. The courses will be video, questions to answer before moving to the next segment, and then continue. Which Lifter LMS do we need for that? Any Lifter LMS would work for what you're describing there, Linda. So private areas is one of our premium add-ons, and you could buy that a la carte, or it would be part of the Infinity bundle. But if you literally were like thinking that your coaching program was more like a series of videos and people would finish the videos and go to the next segment, any version of Lifter LMS, you can embed video on and have people get to the next segment. That's not an obstacle. Where you come into play is, do you need a payment gateway to sell access to these videos? In that case, you'd want to have the Stripe add-on or a PayPal add-on or a WooCommerce add-on, or go with, at the very least, what's our smallest? I forgot the name of it right there. I just forgot it, Emily.
The Earth Bundle.
The Earth Bundle. There it is. I get lost in the space. I got to be in an Elon Musk mindset to remember the names of our packages. So we have Earth, Universe, and Infinity. And so the Earth Bundle would give you the ability to sell courses, right? And then the Universe Bundle would kind of give you the ability to sell courses and connect to different marketing platforms or CRM tools. And then Infinity gives you really cool things like advanced quizzes, assignments, cohorts, groups, notes. The list is getting long. The list is getting longer and longer.
Yeah. Oh, all the time. And there's updates rolling out for these things. Like, I know the access plan system just got overhauled in Lifter LMS in the latest update with some new changes. And there was another update that let me see, make.lifterlms.com. We can show those too. New access plan UI, the WooCommerce got updated, SkyPilot got updated, advanced quizzes. So advanced quizzes also now stores quizzes. So if you leave an advanced quiz while you're taking it, you can come back in and it will pick up where you left off. So there's new features for these add-ons rolling out all the time as well.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to see stuff rolling out. Sometimes you go into something you haven't used in a while and you're like, it's different. But the anxiety wears off quickly when you realize that, it's for the best. Now we've got one last question for Linda, and then we can move on to other people that have been rolling in. And I stress, we've got a lot of people in here right now, so I'm going to throw the banner up again. Folks, if you're watching this live and you've got a question or a comment, concern with Lifter LMS or WordPress in general, or you just want to say hello, you can say hello. It's okay. Say hello. Say, hey, I'm from Brisbane or whatever, right? So comments go right into the chat, and then Emily and I have something to work with, which would be awesome. All right. This is the last one from Linda from a pre-submitted question. Can I host my course videos on Lifter LMS, or do I need to pay for another service to do that? What do you recommend? If I use YouTube, do they need to be unlisted? And what keeps someone from sharing that with other people? Well, you know what? We've only got 40 minutes left. So how do we answer this question?
I guess Lifter LMS doesn't host videos. Lifter LMS is rather a software that goes on top of WordPress. So WordPress is an open source software that can build blog websites, business websites, whatever you want. And then there's a plugin ecosystem that takes that to the next level. Like Lifter LMS adds a plugin course functionality, membership functionality, and things like that. So the code for WordPress has, to some degree, been expanded with Lifter LMS into doing things that it couldn't do out of the box. But it's not actually like a server that hosts videos or any kind of resources for you. It's all on your own WordPress install, and you own all of it. So for something like video hosting, you could use YouTube. There is, I think it does violate YouTube terms of service to charge for videos that are unlisted. So if you put them unlisted on your YouTube channel, embed them in your course, and charge for those videos, if YouTube were to find out and want to shut down your account, I think they can. So that would shut down your YouTube account. So you want to make sure your videos are backed up somewhere. But we mostly recommend using a paid video service that expects you to be charging for your videos, like Vimeo Pro, Wistia, Video Cipher. I know Kurt uses Adillo. There's a lot of them. I still use Vitalytics, which is one I heard about a long time ago. But just some kind of paid platform. And Yeah, there's nothing that keeps people from sharing unlisted videos with others. If you have a link to an unlisted YouTube video, you can send that out on the internet. So YouTube is like, as a free host, is not really going to be the best thing to do. But Bunny.net, Presto Player, there's a lot of options out there for hosting videos, but that's not something LifterLMS does. However, it works with those videos really well.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of important to have the talk and be outward about the concept, right? The idea here is we're talking about people that are creators that are looking to generate revenue with their projects in most cases. So if you are going to generate revenue with this project, treat it like a business, right? Not everything that you use is going to come free, right? Like, so Lifter LMS has a free core version. You can host a WordPress site, as cheap as $10 somewhere, right? A month or something like that. And then a lot of people get hooked on this idea of, well, I just got to use open source free stuff as much as possible. That can be a good strategy to a certain point. But remember, you are building something that in essence is a business and it's meant to generate revenue. So plan on spending some money, and then for that investment, plan on being able to track a decent margin for that. If your product sucks, it's not going to generate revenue at the scale that you want, and you're not going to create margin for the effort that you put in. So you want to be careful, like going for everything free or not paying for things, or and I'm not saying that from the perspective of like, don't use Lifter free core, right? I actually advise a lot of people to get started on a minimal viable product using the free core plugin, and then expand the project as they grow and gain a community. So what that means is maybe use the manual payment gateway and use some other Stripe button somewhere, like, hey, buy this membership for $100 and I'll give you access to this course. Well, they would pay that $100. You would get a notification of that payment. And with that notification, you would manually add them to a membership or to the course. Okay. Now, if that happened 100 times, you would probably go a little crazy, right? So if it happens 20 times, well, then you go, okay, well, now I've created enough revenue that I can add a payment gateway, or I can add the universe bundle, right? And you go, okay, cool. So you add the universe bundle. Now you automate the payment and enrollment process. So now if someone buys access to the membership or the course, that's automated. You don't have to deal with that anymore. So then you say, okay, so hopefully you gain momentum and you get more people interested, more people start signing up. So then you activate your CRM tools or a CRM integration, and you start sending out emails and messages and notifications to your existing audience and encourage them to spread the word or to build your mail list. And then over time, you see that grow, right? So what I'm saying here is, if we make the assumption that we're going to put everything on YouTube because it's free, the experience through YouTube is not going to be optimal for what you're trying to put forward. For instance, a lot of people will work out of YouTube and then come to us 3, 4, 5 months later and say, well, how do I turn off suggested videos at the end of my course video? Or how do I keep people from going to watch it on YouTube and then getting distracted and going to other channels? Well, it's simple. Don't use YouTube. Use Vimeo, Wistia. I'm a fan of bunny.net because it's super, super affordable. I have a lifetime plan on Adillo. I paid for it, but I paid for it once and I can use it forever. There's all kinds of things, all kinds of options that you can use. And I just want to encourage you, don't immediately pick something and add the plugin because it says it's free or it's open source. Do the research and make sure that you're offering something of quality to your users, because you plan on generating revenue with it. So if you plan on generating revenue with it, be prepared that a premium product is going to have an expense.
Yeah.
Adam's trying to encourage me to keep talking. Says, preach. You get what you pay for. You're like locking up here and there. Your Wi-Fi is not coming through too strong today, Emily. I don't know if you're with me or not with me.
No, I'm with you. I'm in an Airbnb, so my Wi-Fi is kind of rough right now.
We're gonna have to get to a clothes hanger, plug a clothes hanger into your USB port, like an antenna.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So we do have some more pre-asked questions. I'm going to throw it out there, though. If you've got a comment that you want to share with us, jump on in. We would love to hear from you. Our next question actually is going to come, I think, I don't, that's the hard part. You don't know what their names, it's Matthew. Okay, so this is coming from Matthew. Copy over to comments from Matthew. If I were smart like Emily, I could put these in the comments while I was talking about something else, right? I could multitask and then I wouldn't have to have these gaps, these horrible gaps. Here we go from Matthew. Can you give me an example of using video and a PDF and a test in a module? I'm confused on how to do this and it's not connecting in my mind. I really wanted to save this one for this call. And, we're halfway through the call, which is good. So we've got time. I run into this a lot with people. I just ran into this I was doing a Zoom coaching call with one of my clients 2 days ago. And she is brilliant. She builds things in SCORM. She's very smart, very organized, very intelligent, but she had the same question. She was like, if I take my content away from SCORM, how do I show a video and a downloadable asset and send people to a quiz or an assignment all on this platform? It doesn't make sense to me. And I think a lot of people lock up on that, Emily. If I'm being truthful, I think I run into a lot of people that don't understand how it all ties together. Is that something you think we could run through?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do a screen share. Let me know if it starts to get spotty at all.
If it gets wonky, I'll take over and start making crazy comments.
Okay, cool.
I'm feeling kind of smart alecky today.
So let me go to my dashboard. There it is, dashboard of my academy. So this is the back end of a LifterLMS demo site. Let's take a look. So video, PDF, and test in a module. I'm confused how to do this. So if I edit a lesson in a course, I'll head to courses in the back end, the course builder. I have all of my lessons here. So this could be introduction. We will edit this lesson 1. So let me save my lesson 1 so that it becomes the lesson. Take a look for video. How do you add a video? There's 2 ways to do it. You could go into the lesson content when you're editing the lesson and add in a video block. So if you're using Vimeo for hosting, you could embed a Vimeo video right here. You could also use an HTML code. So I use bunny.net for video hosting. So if I wanted to embed a video, I would get that whole iframe link that they have and put it right here in an HTML. That's one way to do it. The second way is down here with a video embed URL. You can paste the video URL right here and it will appear at the top of the lesson. So let me jump to another tab real quick and grab a sample video. So I'll go to YouTube. I'll grab.
No, not that video.
I know, yeah. Let me see. There we go. I'm trying to find like a cool video, not just some random. Let's just take this video. This is an old live that me and Kurt did. So if I copy the link and I drop this in, so we could either go right here for YouTube or in the embed video below. Either way, save that. View the lesson page.
So this is interesting. I want to bring this up and kind of fill in a little gap here. If you use the featured video link at the bottom in the settings, it puts the video like full width at the top of the page. If you use the YouTube block, that's a responsive block. So you could put it in a 2-column layout with a heading next to it and the video, and it'll resize accordingly. So know that you have a lot more options on how to embed video than just the featured video option.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And so that's how you're going to embed a video, either one of those 2 ways. And then taking a look at, there was a test, but I got to jump to StreamYard. What was it? I want to do a PDF and a test. So for a PDF, PDFs are similar. So if we go back here, I can put a button on a lesson and link to a PDF that's in my media library. So if I open my media, I should have a PDF somewhere. Let's see. It's the demo site. So
Hello, where's my PDFs?
I guess I don't have a PDF.
No
Let me
PDFs.
let me download a PDF then. Download PDF sample. So here's my PDF sample download. What is this? I just want a small PDF.
So this
file.
example I see a lot. People will have a training video and then like a downloadable fillable PDF as like a worksheet or a workbook kind of thing, and then that'll lead to either an assignment or a quiz. So this is a completely normal setup what we're showing here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll upload my sample PDF.
Sample PDF. Shazam.
Cop,
Copy to
uh,
clipboard.
copy to clipboard. So the way you'll add these to a button is copying the URL, editing the lesson, and then this is download the PDF, and then we'll link it up. So this button is linked to the PDF. So
Perfect.
when a student clicks on this, they'll get a link right to the PDF to download. That's one way to do it. Another way is with a PDF embedder tool. I think if I go /embed or /PDF, I can embed a file from the media library. Let me grab this PDF. And so we can actually embed it right on the page too. So a couple ways that we could embed a PDF.
All right. I'm going to jump in again.
Yeah.
Caveats. People see it on screen and they go, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to embed it that way. Well, remember that everyone watches your content on different size screens, and embedding documents can sometimes interfere with the display quality, especially like phone, tablet, PC, big screen, blah, blah, blah. So I find personally that if you go with the original button method and then leave it up to the device to display the PDF the best way possible, that is sometimes your best option.
Yeah, no, totally. Like this is iPhone SE, iPad Pro. Looks a little awkward, but yeah, so then taking a look at a test, or in LifterLMS we would call this a quiz. Instead of actually editing the lesson to get this, we'll come to the course builder and click this add quiz button. If I create new quiz, we can call this lesson 1 test. And we'll want to make sure this is published for students to see it, but we can add a description. Welcome to the lesson 1 test.
Welcome.
We can add a passing percentage if there's a required grade that students need to get in order to pass and move on to the next one. If there's not, you could say passing percentage required is 0. So if you completely fail the quiz, you can still move on to lesson 2. And then limit attempts, if you want to limit attempts. This is usually going to be something that's used if you're actually requiring people to get a certain grade, continuing education, something like that. So we can set time limits. We can say the quiz can be resumed. This is a feature of advanced quizzes, the one I was talking about. If you want to allow people to leave the quiz and come back, that's an option in LifterLMS advanced quizzes now. But we can randomize question order and disable retake, so preventing retake of a quiz.
People might be wondering why we had to add that resume thing on quizzes, but think about this use case. If you're doing like a continuing education series and you are using like the long form essay question and you're asking someone to go and write a 3-page document on well, they're going to time out on their screen, their Wi-Fi, something's going to happen, right? So what they'll typically do is they'll run off into a Word document, or they'll have to research something off of Wikipedia, copy, paste, maybe a little AI, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then they will copy and paste that information into the long form field in the quiz. So like, if you're wondering why would somebody need to leave a quiz and come back, that's why somebody would leave a quiz and come back. So this is a really great tool to add if you're using long form answers in a lot of your quizzes. Sorry, I had to jump in there.
No, that's okay. Yeah. It's a really good method for that. I know as well someone who has like a real estate course on Lifter, and they have like 50 to 100 question quizzes, and they're all multiple choice, but it's a nightmare to have to go through that in one sitting. So if you have large quizzes as well, that's really nice to have. But basic quiz questions, these are available in the free core LifterLMS plugin. Advanced questions are available with advanced quizzes. But you can structure your quiz with these multiple choice. What color is the sky? I know that's one we always use, and that's not one you'll actually be asking. But we can, let's say during the day, normally. So we can set up multiple. I guess the sky could be red. I mean, I've seen it red, but
If you're in California, the sky's normally red during the summer because it's on fire.
Oh my god. But what color is the sky during the day normally? We have this multiple choice. We can add questions. We can select points values for this. This question is very important, so it's going to be worth 5 points, while the other answers are going to be worth 1 point. You can add results clarifications and things like that. But however much you want to design out your quiz, you can do that. But once that's complete, you have all a PDF, a video, and a quiz lesson at the same time.
Yeah, I really like that we took the time to go through that one today. We haven't done that in a long time, so thanks for doing that share, Emily. A lot of people, and this is not an unusual thing. There's nothing wrong with you if this happens. When you start to build in an LMS, I think over time we have begun to make things sound overly simple. Like we make it sound like, oh, just download LifterLMS and zippity doo dah, you've got yourself a course. You're a course creator, aren't you brilliant? That's just not real world. It's not. People say, oh, jump into Kajabi, right? Well, it's not real world to jump into Kajabi and load up a course. I did a Udemy course last year as a test, right? Obviously, I'm a LifterLMS convert. I'm someone that's in the Lifter space. But I thought, hey, I'm going to put up a Udemy course as an experiment and see how this goes. What a freaking nightmare. It was, I had to do this, had to do that, had to verify who I was. It was a lot of hoops to jump through to get my course onto Udemy, a platform that people say is a bonus to use because of its simplicity. There's a learning curve for everything. And so when we start thinking about putting together a course or an educational product, it's easy for us to become overwhelmed ourselves from the giving perspective, not from the taking perspective. Like you may have taken 100 online courses in your past. You've had to do stuff for HR. You've had to do stuff for some certification. You had to do stuff to volunteer with kids at church, like whatever. You've had to take some kind of course. But then when you go to make the course, you start getting a little bit of product overwhelm. You start thinking, well, how do I make the content? Does it have to be video? Can I do it in print? What if I have an audio piece? What I want to do, flashcards. I want to do interactive videos. You start growing your list of wants, right? Things start going. And then it's not uncommon for people to come to, folks like me or Emily or other people on the experts listing for LifterLMS and say, I don't understand. Like, where do I put the quiz? Where do I put the downloadable PDFs? Often I will tell people what I do is I do like an introduction, I do the learning content, and then I do another section at the bottom that'll say resources. And then I'll create in the lesson structure, like the teacher's guide, the student handbook, the whatever, like all the downloadables I might put outside of the courses. Other people, if they have really extended content, they're going to do what that last example was, where they're going to have kind of like micro breakouts of their PDF for like each course. So it'll be like download the PDF for this course, download the PDF, not for this course, for this lesson, download the PDF for this lesson, for this lesson, for this lesson. And so each person, again, I'm going to use use case, has a separate use case. And it's just real important that we just take a moment, we slow things down, and we go, what are we really trying to offer the student? Because at the end of the day, the focus on all of these projects has to be on how do we make this the most intuitive possible for an end user to get through our content, finish and get a certificate and add value to that student.
Yeah.
Are we good?
We're good.
All right. Well, folks, this has been a pleasure. Nope, we got more to go. This is an old name for me, Mauro Sato. I almost want to say abito in Italia. I think if I remember correctly, Mauro, do you live in Italy? Because I thought there was someone named Mauro that was writing us from Italy for a while. Buongiorno, sto bene oggi. Anyway, it says, hello, I've watched a lot of videos from Kurt to check how LMS is working. Oh, Mauro says no. No, so it's someone else from Honduras. Dude, do you make cigars? Cigars from Honduras are awesome. Anyway, I digress. Um, it says you're planning on using Lifter with SCORM files, and do you need the LRS? Two things to consider. With SCORM, you can play the content in GrassBlade through LifterLMS, no issues, right? And so you don't need the LRS if you're just going to play learning content. And then if you have to do knowledge checks or quizzes or tests, however you phrase that, if you use the LifterLMS testing platform, the quizzes, then that's going to go direct to reporting and you're not going to need the LRS, right? Because you're going to be able to have the student mark the SCORM package complete in the lesson where they watch the SCORM. So that'll be the completion mark. And then they'll do the test or the quiz in LifterLMS, and that'll report the grade to reporting. So if you set it up that way now, I personally call that a SCORM hybrid example. I have no idea if that's a real term. I made it up a couple of years ago, so I'm sticking with it. It's a SCORM hybrid example. So again, you're going to leverage your premium learning content through SCORM. People that have made the investment and have made the product in SCORM, you know why you love it, right? Everyone else on the outside thinks you're crazy, but people that use it love it. So you've got that. You can play that through LifterLMS with GrassBlade. If the testing for your course is part of the SCORM package, if you made the quiz or the test inside the SCORM package and you need that quizzing or testing to export to reporting, then you need the GrassBlade LRS, the Learning Record Store, and that will sync the results of the SCORM package to the LifterLMS reporting for a grade. Emily, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Did that sound clear enough?
Yeah, that sounded clear enough.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into LifterLMS. I'm going to grab the link to that using a Learning Record Store blog post that we had made, and I'm going to link that directly into this chat here. So we'll put here LRS blog post. And so we made a piece of content last year about SCORM. So if you were to go to LifterLMS and search SCORM, you would see that like instantly, right? So that's how to add SCORM to your website. But then we did a separate one here on the LRS. So if you need to use an LRS, we've got a specific resource on the website that talks about that. Not for nothing. I'm just going to throw it out there, Emily. I went public with having scormpress.com, and then we made the SCORM course for Lifter. I made a SCORM course for Manana No Mas. I got SCORM work coming out my ears now. People are just I had a meeting before this, talking to someone in power sports about a SCORM product. And what's interesting is, as old as SCORM is, this is what people don't recognize. Like, SCORM's 20 years old. Like, when you look at it, say, what version are you using? Well, I'm using SCORM 2002. And you're like, what? I'm using SCORM 2012. What? SCORM's old. But like, for instance, there's an AI product, and I'm not going to divulge all of it now because I don't think I can. I think I might still be under an NDA for some of this. So in very broad strokes, I will tell you, in today's modern age, there's an AI product that is like for coaching salespeople, but it creates its outputs in a SCORM file for replay, which to me is bizarre. Like, if I was going to create something so incredibly modern that used, generative learning and all that kind of stuff, the idea that the output would be in a SCORM file instead of like an interactive HTML5 or something, kind of blows my mind a little bit. But that's the truth, right? People that are into the corporate training space are really attached to SCORM. And so I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. And I'm really glad we've got an avenue to play it on our sites.
Yeah, no, totally. And I remember years ago in the LMS space, SCORM has always been around. SCORM is older than me. in the learning space. And so
Nice dig. Nice dig.
I but there was like Tin Can API and this other software in the past that we could use in order to connect Scorm, but Grassblade is, yeah, it's the standard now if you're going to connect LifterLMS to it, for sure.
Yeah. We've got a couple of other questions here, and we've got 14 minutes. So I'm trying to manage time and expectations. We've got a pre-submitted question from Clint, but I think I'm going to take the one from Rodney first. Okay. So Rodney McNeil, first off, welcome to the call, Rodney. Glad to have you. I think this is the first time I'm seeing this name. So welcome to LifterLMS. The question, I'm going to be honest with you, Rodney, you're kind of confusing me a bit. It says, what tips or references are available from LifterLMS for synchronizing with my Bluehost website? I think the way the question is asked, there might be some confusion. LifterLMS is not some separate platform or separate product that would work in parallel with your website. It is something that would become part of your website. Like, I don't think there's anything to actively synchronize with your Bluehost website because it would be part of your Bluehost website. LifterLMS is a plugin that gets added to a WordPress instance and gives your WordPress website some of the added tools through custom post types to run courses, run lessons, courses, memberships, and to offer reporting on people's progress and grades through those exercises. So I was with Bluehost for like 16 years, Rodney. So I didn't work for him. That's not what I meant. I meant I was a customer with Bluehost for like 16 years. I'm fully cognizant of some of their features and benefits. No issues at all. I ran a lot of websites. I mean, probably altogether 350 websites or so through Bluehost. So I'm not saying that you can't run it. What I will say is Bluehost is awesome hosting for proof of concept projects. So when you're talking about an LMS is a heavy plugin, right? It uses a lot of server resources. It's got a lot going on. It's like anything with e-commerce, membership, community, or an LMS. It's a heavy product to run. And so I think Bluehost is a great space to do a proof of concept, to get started in, to get some traction. But if your project took off, and you got to 100 paying users or 200 paying users, you would probably notice a degradation in page speed or site service. At what point, you would probably want to explore more premium hosting experience. But it's great for a launch. Do you think I answered that right? Do you think I got the question right? Maybe Rodney's going to jump in and clarify for me.
Yeah, I think it probably is like, what are the best tips to use Lifter with Bluehost? But yeah.
Yeah, like which plugin do you recommend for using with Bluehost? Right, and then for courses and quizzes. So the plugin is LifterLMS, Rodney. It covers all of it, and that's where I think this comes into some of that topic of course creator overwhelm that we were talking about earlier. Hey, and no problem. You are very, very welcome, and we're really glad to have you here. So don't worry. You're not asking crazy questions. These are normal questions that come to us all the time. There are other products in the in the WordPress space. There are other products in the WordPress space where they're not as complete as LifterLMS. So your question makes sense to people that have been shopping a lot. There are learning products that don't have membership included in them. There are learning products that don't have e-commerce ability, kind of built into them. With LifterLMS, we've built it as, kind of a use case specific tool. If you just want to have lessons and courses and have people, enrolled to take that, you can. But through the different levels of LifterLMS, you can grow that into a fully fledged, full enterprise level teaching platform. And so you could, manage courses, lessons, memberships, course tracks, certification programs, e-commerce, attach it to WooCommerce and run a complete store through it. I mean, there's just so many things that you could do. So for clarification, The plugin is LifterLMS. So if you went to a blank install on WordPress and you went to the repository where it says plugins and you said add new and you typed in LifterLMS, you would just install it. Boom. There's the free core version right there. And you can start playing with that and, building out your courses and your lessons. And then when you see fit, you could always come back to lifterlms.com and see what other kinds of add-ons would enhance your presentation for your students.
Yeah, no, totally. I know that like Bluehost is one of those hosts that usually, like, depending on the level you're on with them, is one of those hosts that offers like $3 a month if you buy 3 years up front, or like $10 a month. They're in that price range for web hosts. So there can be complications with those lower level hosts that like at the not lower level hosts, but the lower level pricing tiers at web hosts that offer some like bare minimum pricing in the space. If you're on those bare minimum plans, there's often some optimizations that can conflict with certain LifterLMS things, like advanced videos, for example, uses like cookies to track where people are at in videos. And so, I remember SiteGround had interfered with that ability a long time ago, but for premium SiteGround users, they could like modify how the server was configured, and so that wasn't a problem for them. But for people on the lowest tier of SiteGround, it was a problem. So I'm not sure what pricing level you're at with Bluehost, but you can run a basic LifterLMS install in any web host. But if you're trying to use those advanced features, I would just kind of consider what resources had been available.
Yeah, and then this is a great question, Rodney. This is a great follow-up question. It says, when I surpass 100 subscribers, what premium hosting platform do you recommend? We are very agnostic here on the team. You're not going to get us to really throw out strong opinions in this regard, because hosting is one of those things where, ask 10 people, get 20 answers. I will point to some of the strong ones. WP Tonic has great managed hosting for WordPress. We are still recommending WP Engine on our recommended resources page. There's a ton. I've had great success with Cloudways personally. And for my projects right now, I've been using 20i for the last year and a half or so, very successfully. And so I would encourage you, when it comes time to make those kinds of decisions, just take a moment and jump into the lifterlms.com/recommended resources page. That recommended resources page has more than just hosting recommendations. I mean, we talk about one of Emily's favorites, WP Fusion, in there. I use Fluent CRM and Fluent Forms for a lot of my projects, and those, of course, are on the recommended resources page. We've got community tools like BuddyBoss on there. But as you want to grow your project and you're looking for something that consistently works well within the LifterLMS space, if you think of Lifter as being the core of your website, and then whatever you add to it, you want to be friendly with Lifter directly, using that recommended resources page is a really good way to just keep everything in a proper alignment. Rodney says, thanks for the feedback. And Rodney, again, welcome to the call. Glad to have you, and no problems there. Now, we've got a few minutes left, and we did have a pre-submitted question from Clint. I'm going to throw that in with a few minutes we've got left. It says, from Clint, best practice for implementing micro-learnings. We have dozens of videos that need to be organized into both structured courses and standalone bite-sized learnings. What is the best way to do this? Clint, toss a coin. Hey, that was a good answer, wasn't it? Toss a coin?
I don't understand.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Toss a coin. When you organize your learning content, wing it to a certain extent. Wing it. Experiment. A and B testing. See what your students like best. When you say you have dozens of videos that need to be organized into structured courses and standalone, I'm going to encourage you to go in the Wayback Machine and look at. I'm going to screw it up. Is it WP Course Guide?
Yeah.
Look up WP Course Guide on YouTube and look at like custom course catalog, custom membership catalog, and look at different ways that you can kind of advertise your content to your people, to your students. So, for instance, in a course catalog, it doesn't just have to be a list in alphabetical order of courses or in the order that they were added to the LMS. It doesn't have to be like that. You could do a breakout and say courses on IT, right? Courses on writing, courses on fitness, courses on leadership. And you could break your catalog out into sectioned pieces based on category. You could categorize your work in any way you see fit. You could have, long form content versus short form content. Just like when you go to a YouTube channel and you see like your YouTube homepage is going to have regular YouTube videos, and then there'll be a section beneath that for YouTube shorts. You could have a similar thing. You could say long form learning here and, to the point, short form learning here, right? Micro learnings here. Micro learning is a really cool phrase in the e-learning space. It's been around at least over a decade. And over time, it has morphed into different things. So microlearning originally was like, hey, here's the Encyclopedia Britannica. Let's, instead of making this all one thing, let's break it into chapters, right? And those chapters were called like microlearnings. And then over time, based on the implied attention span of especially Americans and social media addicts, we started to say things like, well, people only have an attention span of 3 to 5 minutes. Because if you look at your analytics in YouTube, you'll see that most people sign out of a video between 3 and 5 minutes. So then in the e-learning space, we all got panic struck, 8 years ago, and we all tried to make our learning videos 3 to 5 minutes long because we thought that that's the only attention span students could give us. Well, here's the reality, Clint. The reality is the attention span that students will give you is in direct proportion or relation to the quality of your learning content. If your content's good, they're going to stick around. If your content sucks, they're going to bail. And that's just the be all end all to finding success in the space. Every time someone says learners don't have a strong enough attention span to finish the content, I immediately point to the most successful podcast in the world with Joe Rogan, putting out 2 and 3 hour podcasts that is the most popular podcast in the world. So people have the attention span. We just have to give them something worth giving up that attention span for. And so it's important to have, for me, when I say what's the best practice for implementing micro learnings, I might have a lesson that might have a heading, some narrative text, a short video, a separator bar, maybe an audio segment comes in from like an interview done with some expert somewhere, and then into an assignment or a quiz activity. My quizzes on lessons, I make extremely short. I get them to get the satisfaction of getting a great score on their quiz and getting that dopamine hit of finishing a lesson and getting on to the next lesson. Personally, in my little world, I integrate a lot of printed material with video material. And I do keep my videos, in most cases, under 10 minutes. But everyone's got their own rhythm and their own cadence. What are your thoughts as we round out with 1 minute left, Emily?
I think that would be a good slogan for Cadence the Theme. Everyone's got their own cadence. But I, yeah, I mean, I think the quality of content is really important. I think delivering like as little content as possible and testing engagement is really good. Pulling content from your users is a great thing to do. Just whatever the minimum viable product is where you can get your users in your website, checking out your content. And if you can get statistics on how long they stay on the lesson page, what they click on, what they look at, you'll be able to move with some good feedback from there.
Excellent words of wisdom from you. We're going to close out with get your 55% off coupon here. Go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. I want to thank everybody that came to the call today, gave us questions, gave us content to talk about. I want to apologize for whatever it is my phone has been doing over here for the last 10 minutes. I don't know who's trying to call me, but it must be important. I know my wife is alive because I can hear her in the other room. So it's not her. I let it go to voicemail, but now I got to figure it out. Folks, we're going to hit you with our goodbye little jing, 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 and you have yourself a wonderful day. We'll see you next week.